Bianca Belair's championship reign may be coming to an end. Hi everyone, I'm Tom Colohue and I post daily videos about pro wrestling. I'm the guy who first said that Sasha Banks was taking a mental health break instead of being out on strike after laying on the floor crying. I'm also the guy who said that Vince McMahon and Sasha Banks have the exact same sense of humour and genuinely find each other hilarious. I'm saying this now because today we're going to be talking all about Sasha Banks' big return and what that means for Bianca Belair. Now, Sasha Banks is currently not active in the WWE. After losing the WWE Smackdown Women's Championship to Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, Sasha only appeared to cut 2 promos before vanishing pretty much without a trace. I've done some full in-depth videos on when Sasha Banks is likely to return, as I have done with Edge as well a couple of months ago. You can check them out by subscribing to the channel or clicking the links around this video because they might be there already. Today though, we're talking about the future. Sasha Banks' return is only a week away as she has already been announced as returning when fans do. She will be here for the go home show of Money in the Bank, even though she's not currently announced for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. So what will she be doing at Money in the Bank? Well, she won't be going up against Bianca Belair, I can tell you that for sure. Bianca Belair is currently sitting atop a very damaged throne as WWE Smackdown Women's Champion for absolutely no fault of her own. Belair's reign so far has been extremely limited, but it's very clear that the company, the fans, and indeed the other women in the division all see her as a star in the making. The issues with her reign are entirely to do with the WWE basically just sweeping half of the entire SmackDown Women's division out from under her at a time during which she really needed shoulders on which to stand. Also, Reginald. About 3/4 of the build towards that WrestleMania Night 1 main event between Belair and Banks was about Reginald. It wasn't the strongest start. Since being crowned as champion at WrestleMania by winning the championship from Banks, Belair has only had one actual opponent. In 4 months. Just the one. For me, this isn't good enough and it's a sign of a very badly built women's division. Belair needs Sasha Banks back. Instead, right now at least, we're looking at Bianca Belair versus Bayley for Money in the Bank. Again. That said, WWE have managed to make me at least a little bit interested by making it I Quit. I'm certainly interested to see how we go when neither woman has a submission background or a submission move that they use regularly. I'd imagine they're just going to beat each other to death with chairs. I'm okay with that. For Sasha Banks, however, this gives her 3 clear options. Firstly, and definitely the least likely, she gets herself added to the Money in the Bank Championship match between Belair and Bayley and makes it a triple threat match. While the inclusion of the I Quit stipulation makes this very unlikely, I have to say I'm very excited by the idea of a Banks-Bayley-Belair match, even if it is a lot of B's and thus very difficult to say. Secondly, she could be next added by Sonya Deville into the Money in the Bank ladder match itself. Though I've already made my predictions about whom is going to win the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match, Sasha Banks being added would certainly cast significant doubt on my choices. If you want to see those predictions, subscribe now, click the video tab on my account and you'll be able to find them very easily. Zelina Vega's return in addition to that match is very telling. It promises more and bigger. Sonya Deville has 2 more spaces to fill. And with Zelina Vega already there as a surprise entrant, Zelina Vega kind of needs to up the ante a little bit. Sasha Banks would certainly be a fine addition to that, as would names such as Kaylee Ray, Toni Storm, Io Shirai, and of course Sonya Deville herself. The third choice is to act like a legit boss, walk straight into SummerSlam by demanding a rematch, probably once again from Sonya Deville. I don't see Bianca Belair objecting, I don't see fans objecting. Bianca Belair kind of needs Sasha Banks. And here's where Bianca Belair is in jeopardy, because the WWE really needs Sasha Banks too. The absence of Sasha Banks has been felt strongly. While both Bayley and Bianca Belair have come on leaps and bounds and established themselves as top competitors in all women's wrestling, Sasha Banks is so far ahead of everyone that she's basically looking at them through a rear view mirror in that SmackDown division. Roman and Seth are basically the only people who come close, and I don't see Seth main eventing a WrestleMania anytime soon. Leave a comment on the video if you think Sasha even gives Roman a run for his money. Now, Sasha Banks would certainly add a lot to any match she's placed in, regardless of what match that is. Her style, dynamic, aggressive and inventive, would make the Money in the Bank match practically unmissable as it would to an I Quit stipulation. When you consider who else is in those matches, she would add a lot both in terms of drawing power and actual chemistry with the people she'd be competing against. The money for me though, in the bank or not, would be keeping Sasha Banks away from the briefcase. I believe that the build towards Banks and Belair for WrestleMania was poor. Given another month, I think they could make a much better go of it, especially if there's no Reginald to be involved now. One-on-one at SummerSlam, Banks and Belair could easily add the final star of the fabled Dave Meltzer to what was already a thrilling spectacle. The question is, what happens after SummerSlam is over? Well, there are a lot of moving parts to this before we can say who will hold that championship high. Right after SummerSlam, the WWE is planning a colossal draft that will see huge numbers of people come up from NXT and a lot of side to side between Raw and SmackDown. Vince McMahon is notorious for making dreadfully last minute decisions which affect everyone involved. The Fiend being moved late is what resulted in the Hell in a Cell debacle with Seth Rollins. They genuinely had to force a title change across separate brands just to apologise to fans for how bad that match finish was. It's very possible plans involve moving either one or both of Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks to Raw. Personally, I don't want to see that. If you'd like to see my draft predictions, by all means subscribe and click on the video tab on my account. I will be revealing more in future. Banks to Raw basically guarantees renewed hostilities with Charlotte, and I think in one feud that extended forever, we all kind of had enough of that. Regardless of the division, Raw is the land of giants. Neither Banks nor Belair really fit that for me, though Belair certainly fits it a little better. I would have both women remain. I do know that one of the ideas being passed around is moving Nia Jax to SmackDown, because they are hoping that Belair and Nia Jax could be a future Hogan and Andre the Giant. There's some irony there. Comment below if you spotted it. I believe that Sasha Banks will walk out of SummerSlam as the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Belair unfortunately has not had a great run of it, but she's done the best that she could. She has after all had a better first championship run than The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and The Undertaker. Sasha Banks though is a star already. Having Bianca Belair as the face on the chase that doesn't yet run the place is a perfect character arc. She is the EST, but she still has a way to go before she's the BEST. She is after all just starting out, whereas Sasha Banks is the veteran, the ring general, and our next champion. Like the video if you agree, comment below your thoughts. I've been Tom Colohue, and I'll see you soon.